probably should feel better than I feel right now because we got a win with probably in my career the most bizarre lineups that I've ever played. And some of it my fault, some of it, you know, guys not using their heads. But if you can believe this or not, 90% of that game, we played very good defensively. Not 90, not 75. First half, I thought we were phenomenal. Everybody was getting a hand up, bothering, stopped the penetration. And then what happens to this team is I don't know if they can't stand prosperity or if we wear down a little bit. And when Nick and Kenny, especially Kenny, when they get foolish fouls like that, all of a sudden we're putting guards in at the 4, and you know we just haven't done that and couldn't run anything. And every time we take a couple steps forward, we take a couple steps back. We're shooting over 60% until the end of that game. I think we were 2 for 14 in the last 14 shots we took. So then you end up shooting 47%. Free throw thing. We brought him in the morning, brought him in at night. And believe it or not, if I showed you how most of them are shooting, Aaron Harris makes 90 out of 100, 95 out of 100, and goes up there and misses 2. It's sure not his fault, just the way things were going. That is a pretty good basketball team that is hard to cover, but more importantly, they really do. They play 11 guys and 10 guys, and they just take you out of things. Defensively, very athletic team. And when we had those strange lineups in there, we did not run stuff very efficiently. So I'm gonna have to do a lot more work with that. I thought the number of minutes, I don't know what Nick and Kenny played between them, couldn't have been 20 minutes. And that's not very healthy for a team that's short on bigs. I laughed before the game. I'm looking on the bench, and I said, I'm sitting with McQuaid, Miles, Ben, and Gavin. And I said to my assistant, Dwayne Stevens, all 4 of those guys would have probably started. And so we're having trouble maybe staying consistent. We're having trouble with our depth. But there were moments in that game when I thought we challenged them at halftime. I thought Arns played a lot better. Tom was unbelievable as far as the defensive job he did. You know, Aaron made some really good plays. We went to him early and then make some other plays that aren't quite as good. So, but it's hard when you're playing with a bunch of guys that you never played with. So it's been a little bit difficult. I don't think we lost. I don't think we beat just a bad team. I don't think they're the Celtics. They're a good basketball team that plays hard, that's very well coached, and we got to get better. So open for questions.
You mentioned the weird lineups and Kyle Arns playing a little bit better. You talked about his opportunity was at power forward. He had to make the most of it. He seemed to be less hesitant, more aggressive, didn't make everything. But do you like the progress you saw from him?
Yeah, second half I thought he was one of our. If this was hockey, you know, we give the 3 stars or whatever the hell they give. I think I would have gave 1 to him. Now, I don't know if that's a big compliment because there weren't many stars right now, but I thought he improved a lot, and I thought he just played harder, more aggressive, went after rebounds, dove on the floor, did the little things you got to do, and that part of it was a step in the. It's sustaining. You know, we were up, I think 16, and in 3 minutes we had 4 turnovers. Just foolish. Knocks it out of Cash's hand, throws it to somebody. Just foolish turnovers. Not great defensive plays, poor offensive plays. Missed a couple of wide open shots, missed a couple of free throws. If you hit some of those free throws at that point, now down the stretch, we hit more, but what were we at halftime? 3 for 8? I think at one time we were 3 for 13 or something. I don't know how many of those were front ends, but that's going to change the game. You know, if you get up 17, 18, 19, and crowd gets into the game, I appreciated the crowd because they tried to be in it. We almost didn't let them in some points.
Coach, already down the guys you mentioned, most recently McQuaid. There are 50 fouls called in this game, and the depth up front that you mentioned was affected by those fouls as well. Coming out of that, the matchups, the point guard play again was outstanding. You get a combined assist ratio of 14-2 from Cassius and from Tum Tum. Can you evaluate your point guard play in this game and where it goes from here?
Well, we have two different kinds of point guards. You know, we have one that can score and is a great passer. We have one that can defend anybody and can push it from one end to the other. I've been really happy with Cassius's progress. Even though his stats are better, I wouldn't say today. You know, he's got to get. You know, you can't get the ball now. You just got to get a little more focused. And you know, I'm sure there's coaches all over the country feeling the same way about their freshmen. You know, this gets to be a tough time too. It's finals week. It's all this stuff going on. But I thought you know, it's been solid. He's been really good last two games. His defense first half, I thought was phenomenal. I mean, it's making me think that, you know, what I'm trying to figure out is do they understand it's a choice to do this? You know, it really is a choice to do this. Playing hard is a choice. It's not a skill. And although I've heard some NBA and NFL guys say it is a skill, we should be recruiting to playing hard. But I mean, it's a decision you make. It doesn't. You got to look inside yourself. And I just thought sometimes we wore down. I mean, but our point guard play is not the problem. You know, it's inside. It's getting Nick on goofy fouls. It's getting Kenny. You know, maybe Kenny needs to come off the bench. We're going to see that, but we can't afford to get Nick in foul trouble either. So trust me when I say this. If I look frustrated, I probably was. And juggling some things that I've never, this new territory for me. And we beat a decent team, and we're going to try to move forward from it. But there were some lineups in there tonight that in my dreams I didn't have, in my nightmares I didn't have. It's not the players' fault. It's just what we had to do. I have no idea how you felt it was officiated or anything. I mean, we made some dumb fouls, so I had no problem with that. I didn't realize there were 50 of them. But more teams are going to this, drive the ball, drive the ball, drive the ball. And I guess we think that that's good basketball. I don't. So I've struggled with that, as you guys know, and from our media for the last 2 years. You know, this hands-off policy is just teaching people to come up with something to do. So they drove it pretty good. In the first half, we did a phenomenal job.
I mean, you wanted the guys to get to the free throw line more. It seemed like when they started missing, it was a little bit frustrating after how much work you guys have put in.
That's a good word. I got different ones, but it probably wouldn't go over big here. You know, we didn't get there much first half, though. 2 of 8, I think we were. And, you know, we didn't get there enough, but we didn't have Nick or Kenny in the game half the time. So that's one place we get it. And then when we didn't have them in the game, they really pressed up on us. And they did a good job. Give him credit. They pressed up because we had no threat inside. And, you know, it's nobody's fault. It's just the cards that were there right now. We're going to have to try to keep getting those guys better. But I thought the pressure bothered us, and I was surprised at that a little bit with our guard play. But McQuaid going out kind of hurt too. You know, new guys are in there for more minutes.
Tom, 3 straight wins, and now you're rarely a full week of practice coming up. How do you plan on kind of sustaining momentum for this with Northeastern not for another 8 days?
Oh, I hope Northeastern is not for another 28 days. We need practice, but it ain't gonna be practice all the time. We got finals. I mean, tomorrow we got tutors all day. We got, you know, we're gonna try to sneak some early morning, late night, but we miss so much school that we are on finals mode, and so we got a lot of guys homing in on their finals, and I think we're gonna try to do more individual work. To be honest with you, it won't be as much teamwork because you just can't get everybody together at the right time. We got too many guys that have finals on this day, finals on that day, and the times always change from their normal classes. So we're trying to work around that, and we'll work around it. It'll be good to get some practice time in, whether it's individual or team, and we'll try to get in what we can get in, but it's just been one of those strange years where then you come back and it's 1 day prep, and going for Christmas, and the sad part is I got to bring my guys back Christmas Eve, so it won't be a lot of time this year because we start on the 27th. So it's just been a different year, one that I will put in the back of that beacon here and see if there'll be new experiences that I won't have to go through again.
One thing you asked about Aaron Harris was for him to take more outside shots. Don't just simply settle for driving. He got off that good start today. Did you see more of what you wanted to see out of him from that standpoint?
I did. We went to him. We ran some things for him. It was great, and but Aaron wants to put it on the floor, and that's okay. But a couple of those he got blocked. We gotta have him come off those picks. But Aaron played okay. Stat-wise, he was pretty good. Defensively, he was pretty good. Didn't turn the ball over too much. Wasn't like he took a ton of shots. 6 for 14, 5 for 11 from the three. I thought early. I told Gregory Kelser on the TV we called earlier this morning. I said we're going to go to Aaron first 3-4 plays, and he answered the bell. That was encouraging. So we took some steps, guys. There were, again, if I looked at Duke, and I looked at Arizona, and I looked at even Kentucky the first half, but I looked at the teams in the tournament down in the Bahamas. We played a lot of good minutes, but when we go south, we go real south, and that's what we have to correct. You can have a drought, can't be 8 minutes. You can have a turnover, it can't be 5 of them in a short period of time. You can miss a layup or a free throw, it can't be a bunch of them. And they're in periods, which is partly youth, partly inexperienced guys, partly bad coaching. I'm going to try to improve the part that's mine, and then I'm going to hope that we can improve the parts that are theirs.
With McQuaid, I think you said on the pregame show that you didn't think it was a concussion. Is that something you're not very worried about long term then? You expect him back this week?
I'm not, but concussion protocol right now. Back in my day, I would have probably been out for my high school and college career if they do it like they do now. And I'm not saying that there's just so many different things. I don't know if anybody knows. So if you're asking me where he's at, go right to the medical people. Ask them. I'll demand that they tell you, because I have no idea. I know this. They thought his eye socket might have been cracked or something, a little break. There was none of that. He was pretty good today. He shot around a little bit. What he does, I guess, they have these tests. Somebody at Harvard, I think, puts together these tests. And so they have those, and then they have the eye test, and then they have the how I feel test. And a lot of concussions, when guys do activities, I think that's the only real test, if they don't feel good when they're doing them. But I can promise you one thing, of all the injuries that take place, the one I touch the least is that one. So that is totally in the hands of our medical people. I would be shocked if he isn't ready to go early next week. I don't think it was a concussion. I don't think in any way, but I don't know that. And I'm definitely, this one time I'm glad I'm not a doctor. I just do what they tell me.
Any better update or idea of Miles?
No, Miles, you saw me still in a boot, and it's getting a little more pain-free now. So that's a great sign. But there's no, I'm just gonna make sure those guys don't sit next to me on the bench anymore. It's when it gets to be 4 of them, it looks like I got more guys on the bench, and at least if I put them in suits, maybe people think they're assistant coaches. So maybe I'll do a better job of that.
Tom, when you see the game getting called the way it was today, do you hope or expect your big men to do anything differently or play anything differently?
I'll be honest with you. doesn't really matter to me anymore. So if I thought they were bad, I would say it. I didn't even think they were. I mean, Nick and Kenny put themselves in position that my wife could have called out some of those fouls. I mean, so I didn't think there were, you know, I don't like all the fouls because everybody's driving and just an offense that you drive to get fouled, I don't like. But, God, you know, everybody's smarter than I am because everybody's adhering to the new way we're calling it. But I did not think today. I can't complain about any of those calls inside. I didn't. I bet you I complained less today than any day I've been here, and they probably the most fouls they ever had. So that shows you how screwed up I am. Well, you know, I think what you gotta, you know, it's probably frustrating for you, those that are Michigan State writers, but don't underestimate that team. And if there's anybody from there, very well coached team, and they did a nice job, and they battled back. I mean, a couple times we had a KO punch where you get to 18 twice, get up to 20, and usually it could end up 30. And they didn't let that happen, and I have a lot of respect for them that way. I told his coach that, and I told the players that. And we did have minutes, and we did have some guys step up. We just getting everybody together on the same page. The free throw thing, we're going to get straightened out, or I'm going to get fined. Because the 20-hour rule will be 20 hours just on free throws. Then there'll be practice. So write the NCAA and tell them I'm getting fined because we're going to be shooting some free throws now, one way or another. And, you know, I don't know what to say about it. Some of those guys are good free throw shooters. We know Nick isn't. But I don't know, what did Nick end up today? Nick Ward, he was 2 for 5. A little below his norm, but we had other guys that missed some. You know, Aaron missed some that he normally doesn't, and we had a lot of guys just miss 1 or 2. You know, 17 for 30 isn't good. It's when they happen. I think you got to realize when you're on a run and they happen, and 18-point leads could be 20 or 15-point leads. You know, a couple times in a row, all of a sudden drop down to 10. That's the difference in games. So. We'll get better. We're getting better. We'll get consistently better. That's what I would look for, better consistency. Thanks a lot, guys.
He got it.